Shalom and welcome to the Jewels of Kabbalah, sponsored by the Kabbalah Project. This is Rabbi Yitzhak Michelson. Please consider subscribing and liking the videos, and send any suggestions you might have to ravyitzhak@kabbalaproject.com. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Jewels of Kabbalah. In last week's Torah portion, Truma, we read about the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the wilderness. And there is a very interesting connection between the Mishkan, obviously, and Kabbalah. And I want to look first at a verse in the Parsha, which is from Exodus chapter 25, verse 2, that says, Daber el bnei Yisrael, v'yikchu li truma me'et kol ish asher yidvenu libo techu et trumati. Speak to the children of Israel that they take from me a contribution. From every man whose heart moves him, you shall receive the contribution from me. That's what we see as a typical English translation. And then there's another version which I like, called the Mishkan version, which is only a translation of the first 5 books of Torah. And in that version it says, speak to the children of Israel that they may take me a raised contribution. From every man whose heart makes him willing, you are to take my contribution. That idea of raised contribution comes from the idea that truma is from the Hebrew root to raise. The other very interesting thing that we see is this idea of the Creator asking in the Torah portion that a sanctuary be built. And he says, build me a sanctuary that I may dwell in their midst. That word to build a sanctuary related to the Creator dwelling is the Hebrew word shachanti. Now, isn't that interesting that we have the Mishkan and then we have this word shachanti? Shachanti means to dwell, I will dwell. And it comes from the same root as Mishkan, which also, believe it or not, comes from the same word or the same root as Shekhinah, which we know is the divine presence. Now, this shouldn't surprise anybody, because when we're looking at the Mishkan basically is a gateway that acts between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. In other words, it's a connection between the upper worlds and the lower worlds. So we have this amazing connection where the Shekhinah, which is the divine presence of the Creator, who desires to dwell with us, asks us to build this Mishkan, where all of them are connected. Mishkan, Shachanti, and the idea of the Shekhinah. There are some other very interesting things that we see in the Zohar related to this. Last week in one of the videos, I talked about the heart, and I talked about how the heart is the seat of all of our desires, and the need for us to correct and to construct within our hearts a sanctuary for the Creator to dwell. Why I think this is interesting is because we have some things spoken of in the Zohar related to this. One of them specifically related to Proverbs or Mishlei chapter 3 verse 18, where it says we should pursue one who knows a subject of Torah and learn from him that subject to fulfill the secret of what is written, of every man whose heart prompts him to give, you shall take my offering. The Torah is the tree of life that gives life to everyone who becomes mighty in Torah, who becomes mighty in the tree of life, as it is written, she is a tree of life to those who lay hold on her. Proverbs 3:18, as I said. There is also a very interesting concept in the Zohar in Parsha Truma, in discussing the heart, as we said. One could actually say that our main purpose in keeping the Torah and mitzvot is to purify ourselves, and most certainly to purify our hearts. To purify in such a way that it becomes what? It becomes that Mishkan. In Parsha Truma, in the Zohar, in section 128b, we read this. How do we know that the Holy One, blessed be He, wants him and places his dwelling place in him? It is when we see that the desire of the person is to endeavor to pursue the Holy One, blessed be He, with his heart, with his soul and desire, we are certain then that the Shekhinah dwells there. Then we should pay in full to befriend him and learn from him. This is talking about somebody who pursues the Torah with all his heart, with all his soul, and with all his desire. In another very interesting connection, we always read the very famous verse in Pirkei Avot that tells us to make yourself a rabbi and acquire a friend. However, that word acquire is kaneh. Kaneh lecha chava. Kaneh lecha chaver. Excuse me. This is the idea of purchasing a friend. So here we have the Zohar talking about you paying the price that you should pay in full to befriend such a person. And then it goes on and it says you must buy him for the full price in order to merit the Shekhinah. This is how far it is necessary to pursue a righteous man and to purchase him. The idea is here that when we find such a person, when we find such a tzaddik that desires to seek after Hashem and to seek after his Torah with all his heart, we're meant to invest. It's this idea of investing in relationship. Because once you invest in such a person, it also speaks of the relationship we have with the Creator and his desire that we invest in the same type of relationship with him. So let us not forget. The most important thing that we can do is correct, to purify and construct a place for the Creator to dwell within us and to invest in those around us who also pursue Torah with all their might, so that we may also invest and become more like the Creator.